When the internet began, bulletin board services, or BBS, became the first online communities of the so-called information superhighway. Using their phone lines, people logged in from all over America to talk about sports, games, movies, and on one BBS in particular, share their ghost stories. Over time, those communities all went dark, except for one lone server that continues to operate somewhere in an unknown part of Pennsylvania's Rust Belt. A relic of the 1990s, veiled in mystery, it is a digital archive of humanity's strangest encounters with the unknown, as told by the people who experienced them. My name is Brandon Schexnayder, and you are listening to Fear Daily.
Subject, Safety Deposit, Part 2. User, LN34001. Posted, August 17, 1997.
I tried to tell myself it hadn't happened, that I was tired, stressed, losing it, but you don't mistake the sound of nails on steel. You don't imagine the smell of copper that lingers in your nose after you've gone home. I came back to work Monday, looking like hell. One of the girls at the counter asked if I was sick, and I said no, but she kept her distance. That's how it started. Me pulling away, them whispering about me behind my back. I couldn't keep quiet. I told a couple coworkers what I'd seen, half joking, like it was just a story. Mrs. Aldrich has something alive in her safety deposit box, I said, with a laugh I didn't feel. They laughed too, but not because they believed me. They thought I was trying to be funny. I told the manager the next day, and he frowned at me like I was a child who'd colored on the walls. "We don't scare customers with nonsense," he said. "You're tired, go home, get some rest." But I knew. And then Mrs. Aldrich came in again. I couldn't help myself. I asked her directly. The lobby was half full, and I leaned across the counter, heart pounding, voice low. "What is it in there?" Pale eyes flicked to me, then back to the ledger she was signing. Her hands trembled just slightly. "Not much longer," she said, almost like a sigh. "It's getting hungry." Then she capped her pen, slid the ledger back, and walked away without another word. That was the moment I knew I wasn't imagining anything. After that, the nights were worse. I'd wake up drenched in sweat, swearing I'd heard scratching inside my apartment walls. Some nights I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, waiting for it, waiting for anything. At the bank, it started happening more often. Strange things. A man in line collapsed one afternoon, blood trickling from his nose, pooling on the marble floor. EMTs came, said it was heat stroke, but the air conditioning was running cold enough to raise goose flesh. I mopped the blood myself after they left, and I saw it. A faint smear leading back toward the vault door. Another day, I swore I saw the steel bulge, just for a second, like something had pressed against it from the inside. I dropped my pen and stepped closer, watching. There it was, an impression, almost a hand pressing outward. I lifted my hand and touched the steel. It was warm, too warm. By the time I blinked, it was gone. I told everyone, every damn one of them, there's something in that box. It's going to get out. They stopped sitting with me at lunch. Conversations went quiet when I entered the break room. one of the girls at the counter started calling me the vault freak. They laughed behind their hands while I stared at the vault door, waiting. It didn't matter, though. I knew I was right. I went to the manager again, tried to explain, tried to make him see. He leaned across his desk and told me if I said one more word about Mrs. Aldrich or her box, I'd be looking for work somewhere else. His eyes were hard, but I saw it. The flicker of fear. He knew something, or at least suspected, but he wasn't about to admit it. Then came August. Mrs. Aldrich came in slower than usual, her hands trembling as she wrote. She didn't bother to hide it this time. Her voice was faint, cracking as she muttered to herself, "Soon, soon." I couldn't take it anymore. I was half out of my mind with waiting, and it happened on a Friday, the busiest day we ever had. Lobby full, line to the door, everyone impatient, waving deposit slips and tapping their shoes on the tile. I was at my station counting a stack of 20s, trying to breathe, and that's when it started. Boom. The sound went through the floor, rattled the pens on my counter, heads turned. Boom. The vault door shivered in its frame. Customers gasped, shuffled toward the exit. Someone screamed. Boom. The alarms went off, but it didn't matter. Nothing was stopping it. The vault door bulged outward, metal groaning, hinges screaming. The whole building felt like it was holding its breath, and then the steel split. It poured out, and I can't describe it right. Every time I try, it slips away, but I'll tell you what I saw. Pieces, glimpses, a flood of black and red, eyes blinking open and shut, claws that were also teeth, mouths that didn't fit the faces they were in. The air was thick with the smell of rotten copper, so strong it burned my throat. Customers were torn apart in seconds. One woman tried to run and was yanked back so fast her shoes stayed behind. A man bolted for the door, but something snatched him mid-stride and he just came apart, like a photo fed through a paper shredder, torn to strips. The screaming was everywhere. One of the girls tried to climb the teller counter, nails scrabbling against the laminate, but something wrapped around her leg and pulled. She bent in half and snapped clean, and through it all, Mrs. Aldrich stood by the vault, calm as Sunday morning, watching, proud. "Finally," she whispered. I ducked down behind my station, heart jackhammering, ears ringing with screams, cash bills stuck to my bloody hands like wet leaves. I pressed my back against the wall and prayed. I peeked once, but I wish I hadn't. It was looking for me. I swear it was. Amid the chaos, the thing turned, a dozen eyes fixed on me, its mouths twisted into something like a smile. I stayed down, shaking and waiting, and when the sirens came, when the screams stopped, when silence fell heavy over the lobby, I was the only one left alive.
Subject, the Amulet. User, Varsity BSC 12. Posted, August 9th, 1997.
When it comes to ghost stories around San Diego County, everyone knows all about the obvious tourist spots. William Heath Davis House, Loma Lighthouse, Whaley House, places like that. Chula Vista, though, we fly under the radar in a lot of ways. Not only do we have more ghosts, but living is cheaper and you can get out into nature in a couple of minutes. Even now, with all this development happening, you can get from east of the 805 into Otay in maybe 15 minutes, which is nothing. So, the ghost thing. My family has always been pretty in touch with their spiritual sides, but I never actually experienced anything firsthand until I was in high school. Bonita Vista High School opened in '66 and isn't known for much aside from being the high school that Matt from Soundgarden went to. Matt and I were actually friends early on, but he was always a music guy, and as I got older, I became more of a sports guy, so we eventually went our separate ways. He's a good dude, though, and I'm proud of him for taking it as far as he has and living the dream. Much respect. Being a sports guy, I spent a lot of time in the gym and locker room, and it turns out that place is haunted as hell. The guys would talk about the showers turning themselves on and off, and the moment I went in there for the first time, I knew they weren't joking. My grandmother taught me that you feel spirits in your chest, like something is pressing down on you slightly. That locker room didn't just press lightly on your chest, it sat on it like an 800-pound gorilla. It wasn't just the showers either. Sometimes after a game, even if we won, the mood in the locker room was pitch black. The pressure was much worse on those days, and when I described it to my grandmother, she said that was the work of something dark trying to feed on us. She said that evil spirits fed on vitality and joy, leaving those they fed on feeling hollow and cold. It was a dead-on description of what we felt in that locker room, and she said the best I could do was protect myself. For that, she gave me a thin chain with a small mirrored pendant, basically a broken-off piece of mirror with the edges sanded down and covered with lacquer so they wouldn't cut me. She said to wear it under my clothes and it would ward off the evil in the locker room as well as anything else I might run into out there. No surprise, she was right. After the game, everyone was pissed right off even though we'd won. Everyone except for me, that is. I felt the energy in the room, but grandmother's mirror was keeping it from doing any real harm. I would still feel the cold spots in the bleachers, but none of it lingered with me. It's been a long time since those days, and grandmother is gone now, but I still wear the amulet. Girlfriends have teased me about it, teammates have teased me about it, but I'll be wearing this thing until the day God finally takes me. I like to tell people it's about sentimentality because the circles I run in doesn't leave a lot of room for spirit, but it's still keeping me safe years later. Recently, in fact, I finally met the Bonita Road hitchhiker, and I truly believe my grandmother's magic is what kept me safe. The story of the hitchhiker is hard to pin down, but some people say it's the ghost of an elderly man who died somewhere around Bonita Road. Whoever or whatever it is, they will appear in your back seat at random when you drive the road at night. Most of the time it's benign, but there are variations of the story where the hitchhiker tries to intimidate you into checking the back seat at a critical moment when to do so would cause you to wreck your car. You can argue about how true that part of it is, but there do seem to be a higher than usual number of wrecks along that stretch of road. When I had my encounter, I was coming back from my girlfriend Rita's house, west of the 805, and just past Donnie's Cafe when I felt the pressure in my chest. It didn't surprise me exactly because I'd felt heaviness along that road my whole life, but the intensity of it was unexpected. If most people who encounter the hitchhiker get Bellabog, I had gotten Chernabog, and he was not happy to have been disturbed. The crushing sensation in my chest was intense, and I took one of my hands off the wheel to wrap around my grandmother's amulet. I envisioned a white, spectral shield between me and the back seat the way she taught me, and pushed down harder on the gas. Despite all my protection, the pull to look in the back was so strong, but I knew I had to resist. To look in the back was to give in to it and to open yourself up to crashing. Dark spirits want you to think they're all powerful, that their winning is an inevitability, but it's all a smokescreen. We are alive, they are not, and that makes us more powerful by default. I tensed my neck and kept looking forward, knowing that I only had to hold on until Otay Lakes Road. For some reason, the hitchhiker has no power beyond that point. The breath on my neck intensified, the spirit daring me to look upon it. I held my breath and pushed down harder on the gas. The lights of the Arco were my goalpost, and I refused to be taken down before I hit it. The second I passed it, it was like a wave had crashed over my car and flattened everything. The presence was gone, and I was exhausted. Chalk another win up for my grandmother.
Fear Daily is an independent podcast hosted by Brandon Schexnayder and written by Brennan Storr, with Joanna Smith serving as the consulting editor, audio production by Rachel Boyd, and sound design by Southern Gothic Media. This podcast is a work of fiction. Names, characters, places, and incidents are either products of the author's imagination or are used fictitiously. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or to real events or locations, is entirely coincidental. Ad-free versions of Fear Daily are available now on your favorite podcast apps. For more information, visit feardaily.com. But move fast, before the server goes offline.